This is a Dorking Out special bulletin brought to you by Impatience. Want to do something right now you could just as well do in the very near future? Then you need Impatience. We now join our hosts, Sonia Mansfield and Christopher Allen Smith, blabbermouthing already in progress.
So then I said, Scarlett, Angelina, I'm sorry, I'm a married man, you're going to have to carry on without me. And then I got up out of that hot tub, and let me tell you, Mansfield, this definitely happened. So then...
Dummy, we're on.
If you're just joining us, this is Dorking Out's continuing coverage of Sharknado, The Fourth Awakens.
Joining us today is an old friend who Sonia and I worked with at the late, great Eon magazine, and later at the later and greater Cinescape magazine. He was one of those friends you had where, you know, sooner or later, the planets are going to align, and his strange mix of humor and movies are going to bring something special into the world. We all have a friend like that. So a few years ago, he did it. His name is Anthony C. Ferrante. He is the director of the first 3 Sharknado movies, and his latest, Sharknado, The Fourth Awakens, comes out July 31st. As we are broadcasting live from the past, you may be able to watch this right now or on July 31st, whichever makes sense. Anthony, how are you doing?
I'm doing okay.
So what did you spend your day, these last few days before Sharknado movie premieres, what did you spend your day doing today?
Working on Sharknado, The Fourth Awakens.
Oh.
Well, we're actually working on the DVD right now. So we are we're basically doing an extended cut of the movie, or I don't know if you want to. I don't know if you call it a director's cut. I guess it's sort of a director's cut in a way, but I mean, the movie that we delivered is close to a director's cut as much as possible, with because I like cutting things out of the movie. But the DVD, we put a couple. I think we put one scene back in, and there's a few lines and a few little moments that got cut for time because we had so much stuff, like little funny character pieces. But the other thing that as we were going along, it's like, hey, let's cut that shot out. Oh, let's cut the scene down. Oh, let's trim this. So I'm like, I always joke, I'm like one of these weird filmmakers that, after we deliver the movie, I'm actually cutting my movie down even more.
Well, actually, I think there's only one director's cut of any movie that I've liked better than the shorter cut. I think The Abyss stands alone as a longer, better version of a movie, but I think you're on the right track. Everything else is all the other director's cuts are usually not as good as the originals.
Well, and the stuff here is just like literally, it was like a couple funny lines or a couple little funny character bits that that doesn't slow the movie down. Since you're not on TV and you have to worry about commercial breaks, you can just kind of let it evolve. There was one really nice scene between David Hasselhoff and Cheryl Tiegs. Cheryl Tiegs plays Finn's mother and Hoff is Ian's dad. So it was just a nice little character moment. It did kind of slow the rest of the movie down, and when you're watching on a TV, but just putting it back in, I was like, this is like a sweet moment. So I'm glad we were able to put that in the movie.
Cool. Well, one of the things that we like to do on our podcast is let people kind of know who we are and why they should listen to us by telling them our favorite movies and TV shows and our least favorite movies and TV shows. So we want to set the table with this. Anthony C. Ferrante, and I don't think we've ever talked about this.
I don't think so either.
What is your favorite movie?
I don't go to the movies, dude. What are you talking about?
Well, you picked the perfect industry.
What? Wait. So people actually watch movies?
They do. Some of them.
Some people work on them. Some people.
Yeah, I work on them, and then I go work on the farm and milk the kids and it's just
dear. Now we have to add the explicit tag.
That's why that's what makes him, in a nutshell, folks, perfect to direct Sharknado movies. That brand of twisted humor. So, no, seriously though, what is your favorite movie?
Well, I mean, the different movies in different genres. Like, I obviously, if you're talking horror, it's like the all time best horror film for me is John Carpenter's The Thing, the one from '82. It's a perfect horror movie, and it holds up, and it's just so amazing. I mean, it's just this really claustrophobic film, great special effects, great acting. Carpenter hit it out of the park. It wasn't loved when it first came out. I liked it the first time I ever saw the movie, but a lot of people didn't get it, and it's now stands, I think, even more so than Halloween. It stands as Carpenter's best movie with a lot of people. It's one of those movies that critics look back on and go, yeah, actually that was a great movie. So that's one of my favorites. I mean, Raiders of the Lost Ark, one of the greatest action movies ever made. I mean, that's just hands down. Also partial to Diner. It's one of my favorite movies. I try to watch that one every year. I think Barry Levinson did an amazing job. It's the first movie he wrote and directed.
That one surprises me.
Oh, I love Diner. Diner. If you look at a lot of my movies, there's a little bit of Diner. There's a scene in Boo where the guy's talking to the cop outside, saying, "Look, I got to find my sister." Blah 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 blah. And the way we lit it and the way we did it, there's a scene with Kevin Bacon in Diner that I wanted to evoke the kind of feeling of that. Just sort of I just was obsessed with that film. And the scene in the bar in the first Sharknado movie where they're all kind of talking and it feels very conversational. I threw everything out the window that was scripted, and we sat there and tried to workshop it so it felt like these people knew each other. And that's one of my favorite scenes in that movie, just because you feel like you get to know these people. And that was my Diner scene. That was my attempt at trying to capture that, just sort of people talking the crap in the bar, just like, hey, blah, 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 blah. It was, yeah. So Diner is a very, very, very influential movie. I love Dead Poets Society. I think Dead Poets Society is a great film as well.
So when did you know that filmmaking wasn't just going to be a hobby for you, that it was going to be your career? Because we knew you back in college when you were making movies, and I think you knew even back then, but I'm curious.
I know. Well, no,
you knew.
I wanted to make movies when I was in sixth grade. I knew them. I still remember the moment that I decided I wanted to make movies. I remember it vividly. It's like I was sitting on the playground reading a freaking newspaper. That's what I did in grade school. I sat and read the freaking newspaper. So that shows you what a geek I was. And I was looking at the movies that were coming out that weekend, and I was trying to figure it out. Oh, okay, that's that. And then I go, I want to be a movie maker. And I had no idea why or how, so I started writing about them. That became the kind of thing that got me into to learning about movies and then interviewing people and all that kind of stuff. So I always knew I wanted to make movies, and I kind of knew that's what I wanted to do. And when I finally got to start making short films, it included everything I liked doing, which was writing and music and telling stories and making people feel, and whether that was scaring people or making people kind of laugh. And I got to tell you, doing Sharknadoes and people coming up and saying these movies make them happy, it's like that's kind of cool. And kids loving these movies, these movies having a big impact on kids. So, I in terms of it turning from a hobby to whatever, I mean, I just kept doing it, and I never stopped making movies. It was never a hobby to me. It was what I wanted to do. I had other careers that paid the bills, like journalism, and I think it was what was it? Killing prostitutes. That
one doesn't pay very well.
How do you make money doing that?
Yeah,
I asked disinterestedly.
Well, they make a lot of money, so you kind of hunt them down.
Got it. I see.
Hunt them down for sport.
All right.
Yeah.
Next question.
Quick. All right.
Before I go off the rails,
That's right.
To edit the episode.
So one of the things that I have a lot of people, I'm kind of on the periphery of the industry a little bit, and that's one of the reasons I wanted to start this podcast is because I'm very interested in stories and how the stories that we love get made. And I'm lucky enough for a lot of people to look to me and they say, oh, how do movies get made and how does this happen? And one of the things I like to tell them is the funniest stuff in Hollywood never makes it to the screen. It's usually 12 o'clock at night, writers on a sitcom or writers in a drama, in a writer's room. They're bored. They're trying to punch up a script. They're going a little stir crazy. And the funniest things that ever get said or thought of in Hollywood pops out at those moments. They're usually so twisted and weird and dark that they can never make it on air on a network show. And the reason I ask this is Sharknado seems like one of those unbelievably fantastic ideas that is almost too cool to live. But you got Sharknado made in a city, Hollywood, that loves to say no, loves to put the brakes on things, sand the edges off things, and take great ideas and water them down until they're not that great. How the hell did you get the first Sharknado movie made? How did that happen?
Well, the idea started when I was pitching stuff to Sci-Fi. I'd done a lot of scripts for them, and they, I did the horror movies. They would come to me for ghost stories and stuff like that. And Jacob Hare and I, who had written a lot of scripts with him in the past, or worked on some projects, we were talking about, let's come up with the most ridiculous title. And I think one of them was like Lava Birds, and then he goes, Sharknado. I'm like, yeah. And then so we pitched it twice, and nothing happened. So we liked the title a lot. And every time we mentioned it to someone, people was like, oh, that's a great title, blah, 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 blah. And so we kind of were sort of developing it. And then I wrote a reference to a Sharknado in a Leprechaun script for Sci-Fi, and then they saw it, and they're going, we're making that movie. And I wasn't the obvious choice initially to do that because I did horror films. I was the horror guy. And Asylum, who I'd just worked with prior to Sharknado, really wanted me to do it, and they took a chance on me. And they told Sci-Fi, look, we know he can do the action and the effects and everything, so let's give him a shot. And that's kind of how Sharknado was born. It wasn't a job that I was given and just kind of going, oh, okay, cool, I get to go make a movie. It was like, I want to make the most insane movie humanly possible. And Asylum embraces that. Asylum, a lot of these studios, they're afraid to kind of be ambitious because they're afraid it's going to cost them money. But, as long as you stayed within the parameters of, okay, you have 18 days and these are the tools, if you want to go make a skyscraper, great. If you want to go make a bed, great. Or if you just want to go make a little uneven box, whatever you want to do, just go for it. We want it to be good, but if you want to be ambitious and you can pull it off, and then they give you the power to do that. And that was very liberating. They were great in that respect, and so they let me kind of really push the boundaries of what we could do for an 18-day shoot, and that's kind of how Sharknado was born. And the movie, everybody says the movie's campy, and it's the concept is crazy and maybe campy, but the characters aren't. The characters play it straight, and I think that a campy movie is like Rocky Horror Picture Show or Sharktopus, where everybody's in on the joke. These characters could be in White House Down. These characters could be in Earthquake. They're not they take the threat of a Sharknado seriously. They may do stupid things like throw bombs in a tornado, but that's the magic of it. And I think the other thing too is there are no rules with Sharknado. And a lot of times when you write scripts, there are rules. Oh, this can't happen because it's a ghost, and a ghost can only do this, or a banshee can only do this. And when we made the first movie, we didn't explain it. We said, there was a thing, oh, global warming, but we never explained why or how sharks could live in it. And anytime I did movies after the success of the Sharknado, it was like, oh, well, sharks can't live in tornadoes. And so I was like, well, okay, in the second movie, I was done with that. I was done with having to explain it. So what I said is, look, it's not sharks, it's not tornadoes, it's a Sharknado, and it does whatever we say it can do. There are no rules. And if it wants to take down a plane, it can. Well, that's not possible. How can sharks get up there? Nope, it's a Sharknado. Hey, sharks can't go into space, and they're Sharknado sharks.
Exactly. That's right.
And so then, well, there's no body of water in Orlando that can, they're Sharknado sharks. And and so the thing is, when you kind of when you basically full out say there is not a single rule, then you can have the head of Statue of Liberty rolling down the street while it's dodging a dump truck. You can basically have sharks that leap out of the water and and do things that just don't make any sense. There's still a limit on this stuff. I mean, you still have to kind of ground it a little bit, but in order to continue to be outrageous, you just have to embrace what you're doing. I mean, this fourth movie is a superhero film. It's a Sharknado superhero movie, and only the way a superhero movie could be done in the Sharknado universe. And it makes sense, and that's the weirdest part about it. It's like, you don't look at it going, oh, that can't happen. Oh, it's Sharknado. Oh, yeah.
Right.
Yeah, we can have that happen.
Cool. Well, I want to ask you this. This one is kind of for all the creative dreamers out there in the audience, toiling away on their projects. What is it like dreaming of making something for your whole life? You work for years and years to make movies and, get the breaks and make the connections. And then something like Sharknado happens where it takes off like a rocket. You work. I think I saw you a couple months before the first Sharknado came out, and you were working on it. You were kind enough to have us on the set, and then a couple months later, the president of the United States is talking about your movie. It rockets to the center of the culture like very, very few things do. You are on a very short list of things that are a true phenomenon in the culture. What is that ride going from dreaming and working and hoping to, I achieved the thing I wanted to achieve. I've hit the bullseye.
Well, the thing is, Sharknado wasn't my first movie. It was my fourth film. I was making movies for 8 years before. Maybe it was 8 years before. Like Boo, my first film that I loved to death, was very successful on the scale that it was. We shipped a ton of units, made a lot of money for the company. We sold all foreign territories. It aired on Sci-Fi, did really well. So, it was a horror movie. I made horror films. I made films that had a specific niche audience. And you hope that these things transcend and become super huge. But the fact that, it had its following and people liked it and, people were watching the other stuff that I was doing, I was in the industry. I was actually making movies, and that was the big thing. So the thing is that you don't think like, something you're going to do is on a low budget level. You can't say, oh, this thing is going to be the next Saw or the next Blair Witch or whatever. You just make the best thing that you can make, and the audience does it for you. So the success of Sharknado was very rewarding and very cool because it was something that was a surprise. I mean, if the movie just came out and was even Sharktopus level, where people sort of knew that movie, that would have been fine. I've been happy. But the thing that was great was that everybody knew about it, and what it did is it opened up more doors for me as a filmmaker. Because when we were making it, I was like, well, if I'm going to destroy my career, I'm going to go down with the flaming sharks. I'm going to make the most insane movie possible. I mean, I'm not going to hold anything back. I'm just going to go for it. And and the actors did the same thing. And so you just kind of did it and just gave into it and said, this is the movie we're making. We're going to have a lot of fun. And the success was great because what it does is, instead of you're going into a room saying, hi, I'm the director of Boo. It's like, what is that? Oh, it's this horror movie. Here's my horror movie. Suddenly you go, hi, I'm the director of Sharknado. It's like, oh, they get it. They know who you are. Whether they like the movie or not, it doesn't matter. They know what that is. And that's the thing is, every movie is about being able to continue to make movies because it's so hard to do this. It's so hard to get someone new to make something. And the thing that's more flattering about Sharknado than anything is the fact that there was no marketing for the movie. There was a couple trailers. We did a lot of grassroots stuff. We started a Facebook page. We did a music video. But it was like every other Sci-Fi Channel movie. It was going to come out, and we did a little press, and that was it. And then it blew up. Audience found us. We didn't tell them to show up. We didn't tell them, look, here's all this marketing. You have to see this. They found us and made us what we were overnight. And you can't guess that. And that's why I feel very loyal to them because, we've had a lot of marketing since then in these other movies to sustain it. But that first movie we're not an established IP. We're not a comic book. We're not a remake. We're a TV movie that transcended TV movies, that transcended theatrical movies. More people talked about Sharknado that summer than than The Lone Ranger. That doesn't happen. That's awesome. That in itself is, you do something that everybody just kind of goes, hey, this is cool, or this is something we're going to make fun of, or whatever it is.
Right.
So
cool.
So Anthony, you've made 4 Sharknado movies now. What was maybe the most surprising moment or coolest moment or maybe the most unexpected moment while you were making these movies?
That we made 4 of them. We made the first movie, never thought we were going to do a sequel, and then we were doing a sequel, and then we're doing a sequel and another sequel. No, I mean, there's always great moments. I mean, look, it's the people that you meet along the way. Like, we're going to we're going to Vegas for the premiere at Stratosphere, where we shot the movie, and we're live tweeting, and I'm texting back and forth with Carrot Top, who's in the movie. Like, it's just like, hey, are you coming to premiere? Yeah. It's like, how is that? That's just strange. Like, Carrot Top knows who I am.
That is hilarious.
That is pretty sweet.
Wayne Newton singing our song, The Ballad of Sharknado. Paul Schaefer, teaching Paul Schaefer how to do our Big Apple song. Those are things that just like, I love David Letterman. I love Paul Schaefer, from everything from Letterman to Blues Brothers and all that, and Saturday Night Live. And here I am showing him how that goes and how to sing it. And it's just like, it's bizarre. So it's like those things, those like weird things, like the Dos Equis, like the most interesting man in the world after Sharknado, like doing a commercial about me.
That's pretty sweet.
That was like, again, bizarre. It's just like, these things don't happen. I mean, it's just rare, and you have to appreciate it. And, I embraced it from the beginning, and I still embrace it now. I love the franchise, and, and I love the fact that we get to keep doing cool things. So the most surprising thing is that it just keeps surprising. I keep thinking, okay, are people done with us? And then, we do 4 and there's still people interested. And I don't know what the ratings are going to be, but the amount of attention we've got for this 4th movie is just as substantial as any Marvel movie. I mean, they're spending $200 million, and obviously we're not, but there's still this awareness. We were trending at Comic-Con.
Right.
Sharknado trended at Comic-Con when you had all these big movies there. That says something.
That's pretty spectacular.
Flattering. It's just so, and the other thing too that's been great about it is that I did a lot of horror films. I thought I was going to be doing horror films, and I still love them, and I will continue to do them. But what Sharknado gave me as a gift is that people look at me differently. I did a hip hop dance commercial. I did this sort of little action thing. Someone came to me with a comedy a couple months back, just to look at and see if I was interested in. So it's like it's given me other opportunities to be a filmmaker, and so I could do different things. And it may pigeonhole me in this kind of quirky thing a little bit, but being looked at as an action director, or being looked at as a comedy director, or even a horror person, that's very cool. That's the hardest thing for any filmmaker, is to get an opportunity to be diverse in what they do. Yeah. And because no one knows what to think about Sharknado, and because it's all over the map in what we do, it's like, oh, you do that. And then, and I have 3 other horror films that can show that I can do horror and suspense. So, it's always trying to convince people you can do something, because they're afraid a lot of times. So it's like, oh, well, I don't know if you can do this. It's like, oh, you want me to do a hip hop dance commercial? Sure. I'm going for it.
All right. What's special in Sharknado 4? Like, what's the thing about this movie that's different and special for you compared to the other 3?
Each one of them are different in their own ways. They're still the same story, family trying to save save the world, save themselves. But each one of them has a different genre. First movie is the first movie. The second movie was a big New York movie. Third movie was space. amusement disaster park kind of movie and a White House takeover movie. This one sort of destruction of Vegas, which is its own genre, a mini pirate movie and a superhero movie. But it's also a meta Sharknado movie. It's a movie that's aware. So there's a lot more awareness in this movie than the other ones, but it was intentional because we're going for sort of this pulpy sensibility in this one. And there's a little bit more humor, especially in some of the casting. We had Tommy Davidson; he's a comedian, so we kind of leaned into that and let him riff a little bit more. So I think in a strange way, there's a lot more comedic beats in this film than, but not comedy, but just there's character moments. There's just funny little things that just came out of the moment, and also it doesn't stop. The teaser, before you get to credits, there's like before you get to the main titles, there's 19 minutes of story and action. It's nuts. We don't have any rules anymore for these movies.
Cool.
So, sorry, go ahead.
No, that's hit it.
I was just going to ask, what other kind of projects are you looking to do next?
Well, let's see.
Besides your director's cut.
Well, no, I'm actually working on a thriller right now that we might be shooting in the fall. It's like a completely different genre. And it was very interesting, and I'm writing and directing it, so it's like it's weird. Here, I wrote an entire script that doesn't have any humor at all in it. There's a couple character beats, but it's mostly it's a thriller. And so that's going to be kind of fun to go and do something like that.
Does it have NATO in the title?
Yeah, it's called Kill NATO.
See,
no,
I knew it.
Yeah, I know you knew it. No, I can't. No, there's no sharks or no NATOs in the movie. There is water, but there's no sharks and no NATOs. We did a horror short, virtual reality 3D short called Killer Deal back in January. That's hopefully going to get released pretty soon. And there's just a lot of other stuff kind of floating around. I'm working on a script with a friend of mine that's it's a kind of like a 500 Days of Summer meets Whiplash kind of movie.
Interesting.
And it's set in the last days at an analog recording studio, and it incorporates music. So we've been writing music that goes inside the movie on top of the script. So it's been a very different type of process, and it's taken a while to do, but it's a really cool little script. I'm really happy about that.
That sounds pretty sweet.
Yeah, I wanted to do something with music, and so it's it was our production manager on Sharknado, Lachelle Hunt, had done this short film that she directed. It was really cool. It was it had some elements of music in it and sort of a relationship thing, and I really liked it. And I've been wanting to figure out and crack the nut for how to do something like that in the music space. And so we decided to try to write a script together, and that's where this thing came from. It's called Sessions, and it's really cool.
And we should mention Anthony does, a lot of music for the Sharknado movies as well. And a lot of cool, awesome songs.
That's right. And that's the band Quint, is that correct?
Yes, we every movie I've done, we Robbie Rist and I have written songs for them, and every movie we would change the name of the band. It was just a joke. It's like the first movie was the Black and Blues Reviews, and they broke up, and then the second movie it was Toothless Jimmy and the Applejack Kids, and they broke up, and then the third movie was the Gingerbread Men, and they broke up. And there was a certain style to each of them. The Black and Blues Review was kind of blues, and then we were kind of doing gospel and weird stuff in the Horsemen, and Gingerbread Men was kind of 50s style. So, but when we got to Sharknado, it was rock and roll, and each the names tied into the movie. So Quint was the name of Robert Shaw's character in Jaws, and so I was like, well we're going to be Quint for this movie. And then we wrote Ballad of Sharknado, and it sort of became. Look, there's no record industry anymore, but for being on a non-label and the fact that we've, been successful with there's a lot of streams for the song and downloads and stuff. It's a success. And so we kind of basically said, well, I guess our name of our band is now Quint. It's like we can't change our name because now we have success. It'd be really stupid to break up the band as a joke when people know who Quint is. So we just kept Quint for the other Sharknado movies, and we've kind of released some of the other songs that we did with other names, with like, you know, performed by Quint featuring Toothless Jimmy and the Applejack Kids or whatever. So, so yeah, no, it's been fun doing that. We just wrote a rock opera for Sharknado 4 called Sharknado Rhapsody, which is like this insane Queen meets Meatloaf meets Pink Floyd kind of song. So, you know, that's the other part about it, is a lot of these songs in all the movies, but particularly Sharknado, if you actually listen to the lyrics and where they're placed, they actually tell part of the story. So, you know, there's a song that we wrote in Sharknado 2 called "The Past Is Past," and it plays when Finn meets Vivica Fox, his old high school sweetheart, and it was Robbie and I would always say, "Oh, you know, this is just like a throwaway song." You know, it was just like, okay, this is like a B-side. We did it. It's a nice song, and then I think almost simultaneously one day, it's like, you know, I was just listening to "The Past Is Past" the other day. I was like, yeah, it's like, that's actually a really good song. but the lyrics tied into the emotional moment was going there, whether it's subconscious or whether it's there. It's a part of the universe. So I think if you watch kind of the Sharknado movies, the songs actually are a big part of, you know, instead of just always having, you know, throttling action music, it kind of allows you to have a little fun sometimes too.
Cool. Sonia?
I have 2 more questions.
I believe you have 2 more questions.
Will there be a Sharknado 5, and can we be in it?
Well, there will be a Sharknado 5 if people watch it.
All right, everybody.
If the ratings are big on July 31st and we break Twitter a 4th time, it'll be awesome. And
can we be in it?
And if I'm working on it, of course you can be in it.
All right.
Yes.
But the thing is, it depends on where we're shooting. And, you know, you guys have families, and the way we shoot Sharknadoes is like, oh, okay, it's February 25th. Do we have a script? No, it's February 27th. Oh, yeah, here's the first draft of the script. Oh, what? We're on a plane. Oh, wait, we're going to Zimbabwe. Great. Okay. Oh, well, we're done. It's now March.
I can ditch my family.
I can ditch my family. I can definitely ditch Sonia's family.
Yeah. Everybody says they want to be in a Sharknado movie until I go, hey, we're shooting this week in Zimbabwe. Can you get out here? It's like, no effing way. It's like, well, then you missed your opportunity.
All right, audience, you have your marching orders on July 31st. Watch Sharknado, The Fourth Awakens, so Sonia and I can be in Sharknado 5, The Sixth Sense.
Well, we are going to be live tweeting from the Stratosphere in Vegas, the cast and the crew and myself. We shot at the Stratosphere. It's just Sunday, July 31st. It's coming up this weekend. Let's break Twitter again. And if you're in the mood for some Quint songs, you can find us on iTunes. Quint, and the new EP is called Sharknado Rhapsody.
Awesome.
Thanks for joining us, buddy.
Thank you,
guys. As always, it's great.
The Dorking Out Show is on Twitter at Dorking Out Show, where you can find Chris at Jet Jurgens and Sonia at The Sonia Show. You can read about Sonia's random adventures at thesoniashow.com and track the slow and creeping progress of Chris's novel and his other hijinks at jetjurgens.com. You can find out more about The Dorking Out Show at dorkingoutshow.com. While you're over there, you can support us by giving us a review on iTunes. We have a handy-dandy iTunes link to whisk you right back to 2007, where you can leave your review and 5-star rating in iTunes. We'd do it for your podcast. Want to dork out even more? Well, you can sign up for our newsletter, where you'll get all the headlines we use as fuel for the show. That's it for this week. Thanks for listening.